She was cold, alone, and invisible to the world. But when a billionaire stopped beside her, no one could have imagined what happened next. One flash drive, one secret, and a child's courage would expose corruption, betrayal, and a truth powerful enough to shake a nation. Watch as a girl who had nothing fights for everything: her life, her family, and the city that ignored her. This is a story of fear, hope, and the courage to stand when the world expects you to fall. What she did next will break your heart and restore your faith in humanity.
Before you continue, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this powerful story.
The rain had just stopped in Lagos. The roads still glistened under the yellow glow of broken streetlights. Traffic had thinned. The rich were already home. The poor were still surviving. Inside a black armored SUV sat Alexander Cole, one of the youngest billionaires in West Africa, owner of Cole Holdings, real estate king, media mogul, a man whose name was spoken in boardrooms with fear and admiration. He hated delays, and tonight his convoy had stopped because a small crowd had gathered ahead. He sighed. "Why are we not moving?" he asked coldly. His driver adjusted the mirror. "Sir, someone is lying by the roadside." Alexander barely looked up from his phone. "Drunk?" "No, sir. Looks like a child." Something about that word made him glance up. Through the tinted window, under a flickering streetlight, he saw her, a small girl, barefoot, curled up on a flattened carton. Her dress was torn, her hair matted with dust, one arm wrapped around herself as if she was holding her own body together. She couldn't have been more than 10. People were walking past her, stepping over her, ignoring her. A man selling roasted corn glanced down, then continued shouting for customers. A woman dragged her child away as if poverty was contagious. Alexander felt something strange in his chest, annoyance, or was it something else? "Drive," he said. The SUV rolled forward for 3 seconds. Then he looked again. The girl shifted slightly in her sleep, and that was when he saw it, her face. Even under dirt and exhaustion, there was something heartbreakingly peaceful about her, like she wasn't meant for the street, like the world had misplaced her. "Stop the car." The brakes screeched. His security team froze. He opened the door himself. Rainwater splashed against his expensive shoes as he stepped out. Gasps rose from the small crowd. "Is that Alexander Cole?" "What is he doing here?" He walked toward her. Each step felt heavier than the last. As he got closer, he noticed her lips were slightly blue. She was shivering. She wasn't just sleeping, she was cold. He crouched down. "Hey," he said softly. No response. He hesitated, then gently touched her shoulder. Her eyes flew open in panic. She scrambled backward like a frightened animal. "Don't touch me!" she cried. Her voice cracked. Alexander froze. "I'm not going to hurt you." She looked at him suspiciously. People had promised that before. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She didn't answer, but her eyes betrayed her. Slowly, he took off his coat and placed it around her. The crowd murmured. She stared at the coat like it was gold. "What's your name?" he asked. Silence. "Do you have parents?" That question changed everything. Her face hardened. She looked away. That silence said more than words ever could. Suddenly thunder rolled in the distance. She flinched violently. Alexander noticed something then, a scar on her wrist. Old, deep, not an accident. His jaw tightened. "Who did that to you?" Her eyes filled instantly with tears, but she said nothing, and that was when he made a decision that would shake the city. "Bring her," he told his security. The crowd gasped. "Sir," one guard whispered, "we don't know her." "I said bring her." The girl panicked. "I don't want to go. Please, I won't steal. I promise I won't steal." Her words sliced through him. Who taught her that kindness must be earned by not stealing? He knelt again. "You're not in trouble," he said gently. "You're coming somewhere warm." She searched his eyes, trying to see if this was another lie, another trap, another man who would smile before hurting her. Finally, Very slowly. She nodded. And that was the moment the internet would later replay 1,000,000 times. The billionaire lifting a homeless girl into his car. But what no one knew was that this girl wasn't just homeless, she was running, and the people she was running from were already looking for her. The gates of the Cole estate opened slowly, tall, black, intimidating, the kind of gates that separated the powerful from the forgotten. The SUV rolled into the compound, headlights slicing through the darkness. Water fountains danced under golden lights. Marble statues stood proudly. Security cameras turned like silent eyes. Inside the car, the little girl had not spoken. She sat stiffly, clutching the oversized coat wrapped around her fragile body. Her eyes moved cautiously, counting exits. Alexander noticed. "You're safe here," he said quietly. She didn't answer. Safe was a word people used before something bad happened. The car stopped in front of the mansion, a massive white architectural masterpiece rising into the night sky. When the door opened, warm air rushed out to greet them. She hesitated. "Come," he said gently. She stepped out slowly. Her bare feet touched polished marble. She flinched, as if she didn't belong on something so clean. The house staff stood frozen. A billionaire bringing home a homeless child at midnight was not normal. "This is Maya," Alexander said firmly, even though she had never told him her name. He had read it on the small faded bracelet around her wrist. M-A-Y-A. "Prepare a room," he instructed. The head housekeeper nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." Maya looked up sharply at him. "You read it?" she whispered. He knelt to her level. "I did." She pulled her wrist closer to her chest. "Don't take it." "I won't." That bracelet was the only thing she owned. Inside, the warmth of the mansion felt overwhelming. Chandeliers sparkled, the air smelled like vanilla and polished wood. Soft music played faintly somewhere in the background. Maya's breathing grew shallow, too quiet, too clean, too unfamiliar. Her eyes darted to the staircase, to the long hallway, to the security guard near the door. She was calculating again. Alexander saw it. "Are you afraid of me?" he asked. She looked at him, then nodded. Honest, blunt. It hit him harder than an insult ever could. "I don't blame you," he said. The housekeeper returned. "The bath is ready, sir." Maya froze. "No bath," she said quickly. Her voice shook. Alexander's expression changed slightly. "Why?" She stepped back. "I don't like locked doors." The room went silent. Locked doors. That wasn't something a normal child feared like that. Alexander crouched again. "The door won't be locked." She stared at him, trying to detect a lie. Finally, she whispered, "Promise?" "I promise." But promises had failed her before. She allowed the housekeeper to lead her upstairs. Alexander remained standing in the foyer long after she disappeared. Something about her fear was not ordinary. He walked to his study, closed the door, pulled up the security footage from earlier. He zoomed in on the scar on her wrist. His jaw tightened. That wasn't from falling, that was restraint, deliberate, controlled. Whoever did that knew exactly what they were doing. A knock interrupted his thoughts. His assistant entered nervously. Sir, I ran a quick background search." Alexander looked up. "And?" "There are missing child reports filed 3 months ago, but none match her exactly." "Exactly," he repeated. "The descriptions are similar, but the photos look slightly different." "Different." His eyes narrowed. "Send them to me." As the images loaded onto the screen, Alexander felt something chilling. The eyes were the same, but the hairstyle was different. The clothes were expensive, and the name wasn't Maya. The name on the report was... He froze. Before he could process it fully, a scream echoed from upstairs. High, terrified, raw. Alexander ran. He reached the bathroom hallway and saw Maya pressed into the corner, shaking violently. Water was running from the bathtub. Steam filled the room. "No water," she screamed. "Please, not again." The housekeeper looked horrified. "Didn't lock the door, sir, I swear." Maya covered her ears. "Don't put me back in." "Back where?" Alexander approached slowly. No one is putting you anywhere. Her breathing was uncontrollable, tears streaming down her dirty cheeks. You don't know them, she cried. They'll find me. The words froze everyone in place. They'll find me. Alexander's voice lowered. Who will? She shook her head violently. I wasn't supposed to escape. Escape. The word echoed like thunder inside his chest. This wasn't just a homeless child. This was someone running from something organized, something dark. And then she said the sentence that made the billionaire's blood run cold. They said if I told anyone, they would make him disappear too. Him? Alexander asked carefully, her eyes lifted to his, filled with terror. My father. Silence swallowed the hallway. Down in his study, the name on the missing child report glowed on his computer screen, a name connected to one of the most powerful political families in the country. And suddenly, this wasn't charity anymore. This was dangerous. Alexander didn't sleep that night. The mansion was silent, but his mind wasn't. On the massive screen inside his private study, the missing child report remained open. The girl in the photo looked clean, well-dressed, hair neatly braided, smiling beside a man in a navy suit. The name on the file, Amara Adeyemi, daughter of Senator Victor Adeyemi, one of the most powerful men in Nigeria. Alexander leaned back slowly. This was no coincidence. The eyes were the same. The small scar near her eyebrow was the same. Maya was not Maya. She was Amara. And someone had changed her appearance. The next morning, sunlight flooded through the tall glass windows of the Cole mansion. Upstairs, Maya, Amara, sat on the edge of a large guest bed. She hadn't touched the breakfast tray. She hadn't changed clothes. She had barely slept. Every small sound made her flinch. A door closing, footsteps, a phone vibrating. She was still in survival mode. Alexander knocked softly. She stiffened immediately. "It's me," he said. A pause. "Come in." He stepped inside slowly, careful not to tower over her. He placed a tablet gently on the bed beside her. "There's something I need to ask you." Her fingers tightened around the blanket. He turned the screen toward her. The missing child photo filled the display. Her breath stopped. Her face drained of color. "That's not me," she said quickly. Too quickly. He didn't argue. He didn't accuse. He simply asked, "Why would someone be looking for a girl who looks exactly like you?" Silence. Her eyes filled with tears. "They said I shouldn't use that name," she whispered. His voice softened. "What name?" She shook her head violently. "I'll get him in trouble." "Who?" "My father." There it was again. The father. Alexander pulled the chair closer and sat down. "Is your father Senator Adeyemi?" The name hit her like thunder. She covered her ears. "Don't say it. They hear everything." Alexander felt a chill crawl down his spine. "Who hears everything?" She leaned forward and whispered, "The men who come at night." The air in the room shifted. "They don't wear uniforms, but they have guns, and they talk to my father like he's scared of them." This wasn't random. This was organized. "What happened the night you disappeared?" Alexander asked gently. Her breathing became uneven. "They were arguing downstairs," she said slowly. "My father kept saying, 'She's just a child.'" Alexander listened carefully. "They said I had seen too much." A long silence. "What did you see?" he asked. Her lips trembled. "A room with computers and screens and men counting money." She swallowed. "Lots of money." Alexander's pulse quickened. "Money, screens, late-night meetings, political power," she continued, voice barely audible. "I saw them take something from my father's office, a small black flash drive." Alexander froze. "That wasn't small. That was explosive. Did you touch it?" he asked carefully. Her eyes lifted slowly. "I hid it." The room went completely still. "You what?" She nodded weakly. "I heard them say if anyone ever found it, everything would collapse." Everything. That meant corruption, deals, illegal transactions, possibly worse. "Where is it now?" Alexander asked. Her hand slowly moved toward her torn dress pocket. She hesitated. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "They hurt him because of me," she whispered. "Hurt who?" "My father." Her voice cracked completely now. They made him choose. Choose what? She looked directly at Alexander, me, or the file. The weight of those words was unbearable. Alexander's jaw tightened. And what did he choose? Her lips trembled violently. He told me to run. Silence swallowed the room. He said, if I ever trusted anyone, to make sure they weren't afraid of powerful men. Her eyes searched Alexander's face. Are you afraid of powerful men? Alexander leaned forward slowly. No. She studied him for a long time. Then, with shaking fingers, she pulled something small and black from inside the lining of her torn dress. A flash drive. Alexander stared at it. This wasn't charity anymore. This was war. Before he could say another word, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered slowly. A distorted voice spoke. You picked up something that doesn't belong to you. Alexander's expression hardened. I don't know what you're talking about. A cold laugh echoed through the speaker. Return the girl. His grip tightened. And if I don't? A pause. Then the sentence that changed everything. Then the next body on the roadside won't be sleeping. The line went dead. Upstairs, Maya began shaking again. They found me, she whispered. Alexander stood slowly, walked toward the window, looked out at his vast estate, security guards, cameras, walls, and suddenly none of it felt secure. He turned back toward her. No one is taking you, he said firmly. But deep down, he knew something terrifying. This wasn't about protecting a homeless girl anymore. This was about exposing a system powerful enough to make a child disappear. The mansion had never felt unsafe before. High walls, armed guards, security cameras at every angle. Alexander Cole built his empire on control. But control is an illusion, especially when your enemy's invisible. It started at 2:17 a.m. The power went out. Not flickering, not dimming. Dead. The entire estate plunged into darkness. Upstairs, Amara's eyes snapped open. Darkness was never just darkness to her. Darkness meant footsteps. She sat up instantly. Her breathing quickened. Downstairs, backup generators should have kicked in. They didn't. Alexander was already awake. His instincts were sharp. He grabbed his phone. No signal. That wasn't an outage. That was interference. Then, the first explosion hit the front gate. Metal screamed. Alarms failed. The estate cameras went black. Upstairs, Amara screamed. Alexander ran. Security guards rushed through hallways, shouting into radios that weren't working. Another blast. Glass shattered somewhere on the lower floor. They're here, a guard yelled. Gunshots, real, close. Alexander reached Amara's room. She was standing frozen in the middle of the room, shaking violently. They found me, she whispered. He didn't waste time. Come. He grabbed her hand. She flinched, but didn't pull away. Another explosion rocked the building. The front gates had fallen. Black SUVs stormed into the compound. Men in tactical gear poured out. Not police, not military, private, organized, professional. Inside, smoke began to drift through the corridors. A guard stumbled past with blood on his shoulder. They knew the blind spots, he shouted. Alexander's stomach dropped. Blind spots? Only internal staff knew that. There was a leak. Someone inside had betrayed them. He pulled Amara into a hidden passage behind a bookshelf in his study. A secret escape tunnel built years ago during a kidnapping scare. Stay quiet, he whispered. Her small fingers clutched the flash drive hidden inside her dress. Above them, boots thundered through the mansion, furniture smashed. Doors kicked in. One of the men shouted, "Find the girl!" Not Alexander, the girl. They didn't care about the billionaire. They wanted the evidence. The tunnel was narrow, dark. Amara's breathing grew louder. He stopped and crouched in front of her. "Listen to me," he said softly despite the chaos above. "If anything happens, you run to the end of this tunnel. There's a second gate outside the wall." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't want you to disappear too," she sobbed. That sentence hit harder than the explosions. He placed his hands gently on her shoulders. "I'm not disappearing." Above them, A loud crash, then silence, too much silence, then a voice echoed through the study, calm, cold, amused. "Mr. Cole." Alexander froze. That voice, he knew it. Victor Adeyemi, Amara's father. Her eyes widened in terror. "No," she whispered. "Yes," the voice continued upstairs. "I know you're hiding." Alexander's mind raced. Why would a father lead armed men into a home to capture his own child? Footsteps moved slowly across the study floor. "Bring her out," the senator said calmly. "This has gone far enough." Amara collapsed against the tunnel wall. "He told me to run," she cried quietly. "He told me to run!" Alexander's heart pounded. Was the father protecting her or hunting her? The senator's voice hardened. "She doesn't understand what she stole." "Stole? The flash drive. She thinks she's saving me," he continued, "but she's destroying everything." A pause, then the words that shattered the illusion completely. "She is not my daughter anymore." Amara gasped silently. Alexander's hands curled into fists. This wasn't a rescue mission, this was containment. Above them, furniture scraped, books thrown, drawers ripped open. One of the men shouted, "She's not here!" The senator's voice lowered dangerously. "She's here." Boots moved closer to the bookshelf, closer to the hidden door. Amara trembled uncontrollably. Alexander made a decision in that moment, not as a billionaire, not as a businessman, but as a man. He stood. "Stay here," he whispered. Her fingers tightened around his sleeve. "Don't leave me." His voice softened. "I'm not leaving you. I'm distracting them." Before she could protest, he pushed the hidden door open and stepped into the study. Smoke filled the air, broken glass everywhere. Men turned their weapons toward him instantly. And there stood Senator Victor Adeyemi, impeccably dressed, calm, cold, eyes empty of fatherly warmth. "You shouldn't have involved yourself," the senator said smoothly. Alexander stepped forward. "You sent armed men into my home." The senator smiled faintly. "You took something that doesn't belong to you." Alexander's voice dropped. "She's a child." The senator's expression changed. "No," he said quietly. "She's a liability." The room went deadly silent. Behind the bookshelf, Amara heard every word. Her small world shattered. Tears streamed silently down her face. Her father hadn't come to save her. He came to erase her. Suddenly, sirens echoed in the distance. Real police this time. Alexander had triggered a silent emergency system earlier. The senator's jaw tightened. "This isn't over," he said coldly. He turned to his men. "Fall back." Within seconds, they were gone. SUVs disappearing into the dark, leaving behind smoke, broken glass, and a truth too painful to undo. Alexander rushed back into the tunnel. Amara was curled into herself, rocking, repeating the same words. "I'm not his daughter anymore. I'm not his daughter anymore." He knelt beside her, and for the first time, she didn't flinch when he held her. Outside, the mansion burned in parts. Security guards wounded, walls cracked, the illusion of safety gone. Alexander looked toward the smoke-filled ceiling. This was bigger than corruption, bigger than money. A father had chosen power over his child, and now there was no going back. The mansion smelled like smoke for days. Workers repaired shattered glass. Security doubled. News channels speculated about a gas explosion at the Cole estate, but inside Alexander's private underground office, there was no repair for what they were about to see. Amara sat on a leather couch, knees pulled to her chest. She hadn't spoken much since the attack, not after hearing her father say she was a liability. Alexander stood near the large screen. The flash drive rested on the table between them, small, black, heavy with consequences. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. She nodded slowly. "They were scared of it," she whispered. "That means it matters." Alexander inserted the flash drive. The screen flickered. A folder opened, then another, encrypted files, transaction records, video recordings, audio logs. Alexander's face slowly hardened. Millions of dollars. Offshore accounts, payments from foreign corporations, illegal arms deals, bribes, election manipulation. This wasn't corruption, this was treason. Amara's breathing grew shallow. "What is it?" she asked softly. He hesitated. "It's enough to destroy your father, and a lot of powerful men with him." She didn't smile. She didn't look relieved. She just stared at the screen like it had confirmed something she already knew. Then, a video file autoplayed. The date stamp was 3 months ago. The room shown was unmistakable. Her father's private office. Amara stiffened. On screen, Senator Victor Adeyemi stood arguing with someone. A woman. Her mother. Alexander glanced at Amara. Her fingers dug into the couch. The audio was shaky, but clear enough. "You promised it would stop," the woman shouted. "You promised no more deals with them." Her father's voice was lower, angry. "It's too late. You don't understand the level this has reached." "I understand that men are disappearing," her mother cried. "Journalists, witnesses, people who spoke up." Amara's eyes filled instantly. Alexander kept watching. The mother stepped closer. "If this comes out, you'll lose everything." The senator's response was chilling. "If this comes out, we all lose everything." There was a long silence on the recording. Then, her mother said the sentence that changed everything. "If I have to choose between power and my child, I choose my child." Amara broke. She covered her mouth to stop the sob from escaping. On screen, her father looked away. "Take her and leave," he said quietly. "What?" her mother asked. "They know she saw the files." Alexander felt his chest tighten. The senator continued, "They want leverage. If she stays, they'll use her." The room fell silent in the present. Amara stared at the screen through tears. Her father's voice trembled slightly on the recording. "I'll handle this." Her mother stepped forward. "You can't handle them." The video glitched for a moment. Then, gunshots. The camera fell sideways. Screaming. Chaos. The image froze. Alexander's hand tightened into a fist. The file ended. The room went completely silent. Amara wasn't crying loudly. She wasn't screaming. She was shaking. Small, silent, broken. "They told me she left us," she whispered. Her voice sounded hollow. "They said she ran away." Alexander's throat tightened. "She didn't run," he said quietly. Amara looked up slowly. "Is she—" He didn't answer immediately. He didn't need to. Her mother had tried to protect her and paid the price. Amara folded into herself. "I heard the noise that night," she whispered. "Daddy told me to hide in my closet. He said not to come out until morning." Her voice cracked. "I waited all night." Alexander walked slowly toward her, kneeling in front of her again. This time she didn't pull away. She leaned forward and buried her face against him. The tears finally came fully, raw, painful, uncontrolled. "I thought he saved me," she cried. "I thought he chose me." Alexander closed his eyes. "He did," he said softly. She looked up, confused. "He told you to run," Alexander continued. "He gave you time." "But he came for me," she said. "Yes," Alexander replied quietly, "because if you expose this, they won't just destroy him." He looked at the screen filled with evidence. "They'll destroy the country's political foundation." Amara wiped her tears. "Did he kill her?" The question hung heavy in the air. Alexander didn't lie. He allowed it. That was worse. Silence settled between them. After a long moment, Amara reached into her pocket, pulled out the bracelet with her name, M-A-E-A. "That was my mother's nickname for me," she said softly. "She said it meant brave." Alexander swallowed hard. She was right. Amara looked at the screen again, then at him. "They said if this comes out, everything collapses." Alexander nodded. "Yes." She took a slow breath, then asked the question no child should ever have to ask. "If I tell the truth, will more people die?" The weight of that question crushed him, because the answer wasn't simple. Exposing corruption at that level would cause chaos, but hiding it would protect monsters. Alexander placed his hands gently on her shoulders. "Sometimes," he said carefully, "telling the truth breaks things that were already rotten." She stared at him. "And sometimes," he continued, "it's the only way to stop more mothers from dying." Tears slid down her face again, but this time there was something different in her eyes. Not just fear, resolve. Outside the underground office, news alerts began buzzing on phones across the city. Anonymous leaks, whispers of financial corruption. Someone had already started moving. Alexander looked at his phone, then back at Amara. They weren't the only ones who had the file anymore. The war had just gone public. The city was awake, though no one knew why. Screens lit up with breaking news. Major corruption leak rocks political elite. Alexander sat in his private office, phone buzzing in every hand. His team scrambled, analysts, lawyers, PR experts, all frantic. But it wasn't the leak that concerned him most, it was the betrayal. Inside Cole Holdings, someone had tipped the press before he could control the narrative, and the press had names, faces, and an exclusive video clip. Amara holding the flash drive, shaking in the underground office. Amara sat on the floor of the hidden tunnel, laptop screen glowing in her lap. "I didn't want this," she whispered. Alexander knelt beside her. "It's not your fault. Someone inside betrayed us." Her small face hardened. "They don't care about me. They just want power." Alexander's phone buzzed again. This time a message from an unknown number. "We know where she is. Leave her or she disappears tonight." Amara's heart skipped. "I won't hide anymore," she said, her voice trembling but firm. Alexander looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded, her eyes glinting with resolve. "I've seen what they do. I can't let them win." Meanwhile, the media frenzy was building. News channels ran footage of the mansion attack. Screenshots of the flash drive files appeared online. Social media exploded. Political aides were calling Alexander. "You need to give her up." Alexander slammed his hand down on the desk. "No, I promised I'd protect her." Amara sat silently, but her mind was racing. She thought about her mother, about the night she had to hide, about the flash drive, about the lives that could be destroyed if the truth didn't come out. And then she made her decision. She stood trembling but determined. "I'm going to the press myself," she said. Alexander froze. "No, it's too dangerous." She looked him in the eyes. "They already know. The secret is out. If I don't speak, someone else will twist the story. I can't let that happen, not after what happened to Mom." Alexander felt the weight of her words. She was right. The city would never forgive silence. He nodded reluctantly. "Then we do this together." But not everyone in his team was loyal. Behind closed doors, one trusted lieutenant had already contacted a shadowy figure in the senator's inner circle. "You're letting her speak?" the lieutenant hissed. "Don't worry, I have my ways," the shadow replied. "If she talks, she won't see tomorrow." Alexander and Amara prepared carefully. Cameras, press releases, verified sources, evidence of the senator's crimes. As they walked toward the car to give the first interview, Amara paused. "I'm scared," she whispered. Alexander knelt down. "Fear is natural. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it." She swallowed hard, gripping the flash drive. The city lights stretched out before them. Somewhere in the shadows, enemies were already watching. And the first of many threats would arrive before the sun rose, because Amara wasn't just telling the truth. She was challenging a system built on lies, power, and fear. And now, everyone wanted her silenced. It started with a knock, soft, almost polite, too soft to be a warning. Alexander froze. Amara sat in the corner clutching the flash drive. Her small frame trembled. "Stay calm," Alexander whispered, stepping toward the door. Before he could open it, the window shattered. Glass exploded inward. Shards sprayed across the room. Amara screamed. Alexander grabbed her and ducked behind the desk. Two masked men leapt inside, guns raised. "Give us the girl," one barked. Alexander's heart pounded. His mind raced. "This was no ordinary attack. Not a chance," he said, his voice cold but steady. Bullets ripped through the air, papers scattered, a lamp toppled. Amara screamed again, pressed against the wall. Then something strange happened. A calm settled over her. She lifted the flash drive. Her small hands shook, but her eyes hardened. She remembered her mother's words, her mother's courage. The first attacker lunged toward her. Amara ducked, a reflex she didn't know she had saved her from the kick. The second attacker aimed at Alexander. She grabbed a heavy decorative vase from the table and swung. It connected. The man crashed to the floor, stunned. Alexander's jaw dropped. She's not just a child, he whispered. Amara's heart pounded, but she felt alive. The first attacker recovered and lunged again. She kicked, hard, precise. He stumbled backward. A security alarm blared. Footsteps ran up the hallway, reinforcements from Alexander's private guards. The attackers cursed, realizing they were outnumbered. But before they could escape, one of them threw a smoke grenade. Thick grey fog filled the room. Amara coughed. Alexander grabbed her hand. "Run!" he shouted. She didn't run. She faced the fog. A strange instinct surged through her. She could see, like shadows were being pulled into sharp focus. She moved with precision. The attackers stumbled. Within seconds, they were subdued by guards. Amara stood in the middle of the room, breathless, trembling, but victorious. Alexander approached her slowly. "You saved us," he said, his voice full of awe. "No," she whispered. "My mother saved me." He studied her face. The fear had not vanished, but something stronger had taken root. Courage. Later that night, Alexander sat in his study. The flash drive was safe. Amara slept in a room that no one could reach, but Alexander's mind wasn't at peace. Someone inside had tipped the attackers. Someone had wanted her dead. And now Amara had discovered something about herself. Something dangerous. Something powerful. She could survive. She could fight. And she could protect the truth. The city outside slept unaware, but the world had changed. Because the child they thought was helpless was no longer helpless. And the first strike was only the beginning. The morning after the first attack, the mansion felt wrong. Not broken, not chaotic, wrong. Every hallway, every office, every glance carried suspicion. Alexander moved silently through the corridors, checking cameras, reviewing security footage. Something didn't add up. Amara sat at the table, recovering from the night's terror. Her small fingers traced the flash drive, almost afraid to touch it. "Are we safe?" she whispered. Alexander didn't answer. He knew better than to lie. The answer was no. The first clue came in a file log. Someone had accessed the underground office before the attackers arrived. Not hackers, someone inside. A cold realization settled on Alexander's face. "Someone in my company betrayed us," he muttered. Amara's eyes widened. "Who?" He shook his head. "I don't know yet, but we will find out." Meanwhile, in the city, news of the leaked flash drive was spreading like wildfire. The senator was furious, but more importantly, he was desperate. Alexander knew desperation made people dangerous, and the first of the senator's counterattacks was already in motion. Late that night, Amara was woken by a faint creaking sound. Her instinct screamed she wasn't safe in her room. Alexander's guards were stationed outside, but someone had bypassed them. She reached for the flash drive, and that's when she saw him. A man in a black suit, moving silently across the hallway, gun drawn. She froze. He was fast. Too fast. And then, without thinking, Amara ran. Her small legs carried her through the secret passageways she had explored before. The man followed, almost silently. Heart-pounding, she ducked behind a staircase. The flash drive felt heavier than ever in her pocket. Alexander, alerted by security monitors, raced through the mansion. The first words he said when he found her hiding, "You're stronger than I thought." Amara didn't respond. They moved together, through corridors, behind walls, and into the underground tunnels. But the attacker wasn't giving up. Shots rang out, ricocheting off the walls. Alexander pulled Amara down, covering her with his body. "Do you trust me?" he shouted. "Yes," she cried. He led her into a narrow vent tunnel, one that even he hadn't used in years. Meanwhile, the traitor's identity finally came to light. It was someone Alexander had considered loyal for over a decade, Marcus, his senior security chief. He had been feeding information to the senator since the first attack. Alexander's blood ran cold. the man he trusted most, had nearly gotten Amara killed. Back in the tunnels, Amara whispered, "They won't stop, will they?" "They'll try," Alexander said softly, "but this time we're ready." Amara's eyes narrowed. "Then let's finish this," she said. Alexander looked at her, amazed. The small child who had once been homeless, terrified, and fragile was now a fighter. And the flash drive? It wasn't just evidence, it was a weapon, and they were ready to use it. The city had never felt so alive. Every screen, every whisper, every notification was buzzing about the leaked flash drive. Amara sat beside Alexander in the underground control room, watching the unfolding chaos. "This is it," Alexander said quietly. Amara nodded, gripping the flash drive tightly. "It's time," she whispered. Outside, the senator's men had mobilized. Black SUVs, tactical gear, and trained mercenaries surrounded the mansion, but Alexander had prepared guards, traps, and escape routes. Tonight, it would all come together. The first wave struck at midnight, smoke grenades, gunfire, explosions in the courtyard. Amara's eyes widened. She had never seen anything so terrifying and so beautiful in its intensity. Alexander pulled her behind a reinforced wall. "You're ready for this," he said. "I have to be," she whispered. Inside the mansion, Marcus, the traitor, moved with deadly precision. He thought he could ambush them from the inside. He didn't anticipate Amara. The girl sprang into action, shadows of the night guiding her. She dodged, ducked, and countered with the precision she had discovered in the last attack. Every move was quick, exact, and instinctive. Her mother's courage seemed to flow through her. Alexander confronted Marcus head-on. "You betrayed everything," he shouted. Marcus smirked. "She's just a child. What can she do?" Alexander smirked back. "You'll see." Amara reached the control panel. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. The flash drive revealed the senator's hidden offshore accounts, evidence of murder, bribery, and manipulation. She uploaded it live. The city, the nation, the world watched in real time. Screens lit up everywhere. Senator Adeyemi's empire of lies exposed. The senator realized too late. He tried to flee, but every exit had been sealed by Alexander's team. Marcus lunged toward Amara, but she was faster. A calculated move, a thrown object, and Marcus collapsed, stunned. Amara's eyes finally met her father's, projected live on screens across the nation. He looked human, fearful, cornered. "No," he shouted into the cameras. "Yes," she whispered. "It's over." Tears streamed down her face, not for him, but for her mother, for the truth, for all the people hurt by his corruption. The world outside erupted. Protesters, journalists, citizens. People finally knew. Alexander placed his hand on Amara's shoulder. "You did it," he said softly. She looked up. "No, we did it." The mansion was quiet now. The danger had passed, but the weight of the truth, the loss, and the betrayal lingered. Amara looked at the city skyline. She had survived. She had fought. She had exposed the truth, and for the first time she felt free. The night had passed. The city was quiet, but alive. News channels replayed the senator's downfall endlessly. Social media buzzed with reactions. Alexander and Amara sat on the rooftop of the mansion, overlooking Lagos, the city lights twinkling like stars. Amara held the black flash drive in her hand, now empty of secrets, but heavy with memories. I thought I'd always be alone," Amara whispered, staring at the skyline. Alexander glanced at her. "You were never alone. You just didn't see it." She looked down at her hands. "I lost so much. My mother, my home, my childhood." "Yes," Alexander said softly, "and yet you found courage. You fought when the world told you to hide. You stood tall when even I feared for your life." Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. She wiped them, smiling faintly. "I don't feel like the same child anymore," she said. "You're not," Alexander replied. "You're stronger, wiser, braver. Your mother would be proud." Flashbacks swirled in Amara's mind. Her mother shielding her, the attacks, the betrayals, the city watching, her own fear and fury. She whispered softly, "Mom, I did it. I promised I'd be brave. Alexander placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You were, and you changed the course of many lives, not just ours. The mansion staff emerged from hiding. Guards, friends, even employees who had risked their lives all bowed in respect. Amara realized something. Courage inspired others. Her bravery had created ripples that reached farther than she could imagine. Days later, Alexander and Amara visited the hospital where families affected by the senator's corruption were staying. Amara spoke to the children, sharing her story. Sometimes life is unfair, she said softly, but fear doesn't define you. Courage does. And truth sets people free. Small smiles returned to the children's faces. Some even hugged her tightly. That evening, Alexander and Amara returned to the mansion. The city lights shone brighter now, as if reflecting hope. Amara whispered, "Do you think it's really over?" Alexander smiled faintly. "It's never over. But now, we've given people a choice, and sometimes that's enough." Amara looked at the black flash drive, now symbolic rather than dangerous. "It's just a memory now," she said, "a reminder of courage, truth, and family." She climbed to the rooftop again, the cool wind brushing her face. She had been homeless once, invisible, frightened. Now she was a beacon. A girl who faced darkness, survived, and became stronger than anyone ever imagined. And as the sun rose over Lagos, Amara whispered one final promise. "I will never let fear decide my life. I will never stop fighting for truth and for love." The city awakened beneath her, a new dawn, a new beginning, and for the first time, Amara smiled without fear.
Dear viewers, what lesson did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear from your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit the subscriber button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.